One thing that I learned is that as singers, we should always be empowered to create, even if it's on the spot and if it's on the fly, and even if it feels very daunting.
The thing I learned most here is that improvisation is really just your own freedom and how creative you can be within a song. It's just limited by your own mind space.
You gotta communicate with the band. So let's see what I learned.
There were many things I learned this week, for which I'm really grateful. One thing I learned this week in particular was to allow the lyric of the song to dictate how you phrase it and how you express the song.
What I learned this week was how amazing it is to be in a room learning with singers of all ages. Let's give some gratitude to Detroit Vocal Jazz Week.
The thing I learned this week was text painting.
What I learned so much this week, but specific to this song, I learned that I should be doing it as a samba, not as a bossa.
This week I learned that not everything in jazz is permanent.
One thing that I learned this week, other people said the things I learned, better signaling to the band, but also rhythm is king.
One thing I learned this week is how to trade fours with the band. So, yeah.
And one big thing I learned this week was how to scat. I've never done that before.
This year at Jazz Workshop is how to communicate with the band effectively and all of the different nuances of band communication.
And then one thing I learned many things this week, including how to play an egg shaker. Thank you, Atla. But among many things, I learned or sort of relearned that there is always so much knowledge to learn and gain from the people around you, no matter where you are in life, how old you are, how experienced you are. There's always something to learn from everybody.
One thing I learned from this camp is probably how to properly count the band in.
I learned how to be more confident with my count. I learned samba, bossa, because I'm always calling Latin tunes, so now I don't have to just say Latin, I can count it all right. And most of all, just I'm grateful for the encouragement, the things that I learned. I needed that for where I am right now. So I'm really grateful to everyone here who encourage one another and our teachers. So I just thank y'all so much.
I learned to get out of my comfort zone. It's kind of like weight training. If you don't pick up a heavier weight, you're never gonna get tougher muscles.
The thing that I learned this week, in addition to all the things that have been heard, we learned so much about technique and expression, that the reason that jazz has been able to withstand the test of time, originally and largely without having been written down, it's mostly by ear, is because the music form is about taking the song, implementing the techniques, and making it your own through the artistic freedom that these techniques provide us.
I never had a voice teacher, so I learned a lot from my teachers. They're amazing.
One thing I've learned this week is during a rubato, you are allowed and encouraged to step way out of your normal box, and you can do that with the support of awesome musicians like we have up here, and Matt, Trevor, and Dave. So thank you so much.
One thing that I learned from camp this week is the many different ways that you can do jazz. Like, you can do social call in like 50 different million ways, and I didn't even know that. So yeah.
The thing I learned this week that most surprised me was sometimes you have to snap on one. And apparently I have a very hard time doing that. I am solidly a swinger on 2 and 4, so it was enlightening.
One of the most important things I learned this week was some vocal exercises to help me better express what I'm feeling in a song. So I'm grateful for that.
One thing I learned this week was how to efficiently and effectively communicate with the band. So.